Nation, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. As we continue our trading with a purpose series, we're now looking at pound JPY and it's the beginning of the week. So let's go ahead and do a quick analysis of the four pairs that we are following: pound USD, pound JPY, NAS100, and gold. So we're already on pound JPY, so let's get into this analysis here. Pound JPY is now coming off a brand new peak formation high, so technically we should be looking for sells. As far as the target points, I'm looking at somewhere around 190, 200 or so, give or take. Now, very important, you can see here on the daily time frame, we've been in this downtrend here on the daily time frame for some time, and then now we're basically now looking to continue that downtrend. Now, from a perspective of a smaller time frame here, we were able to get a full cycle out of it, which is fantastic. But what we're looking for here is one of two things. So on the 1 hour time frame, I'm wanting to make sure that we actually close below 191,500, okay? Because that'll get us basically to the 190,300 or so, give or take. The reason I'm looking at that is because I want to make sure that this does not turn into a break and retest, basically. Okay, I want to make sure it doesn't turn into that. So we want to make sure that we break below this previous high here. All right, once we break below that previous high, then we can go ahead and start to attack that 190,300 area, and then you'd be looking at also 189,400 as well. So that is pound JPY. Pound USD, we're coming off a peak formation high, so obviously we should be looking for sells on this pair. You can see though that we're starting to stall at the same area that we had the failed reset at. Okay, now also keep in mind that we are in an uptrend also on the daily time frame, so you got to keep that in mind as well. Another factor you got to keep in mind is that this is going to follow the dollar index as well, so that's another thing that you have to keep in mind if you're following this pair or any USD pair. Now, just real quick, if we come in and take a look at the dollar index, just for some context, we're coming off peak formation low, so theoretically we should be looking for dollar strength. The problem is that we are in a huge downtrend on the daily time frame on dollar index, so meaning that long term we're actually looking for dollar weakness, right? And essentially this is just a retracement of that downtrend, so that's where we're kind of basically stuck. Because we're not breaking above this 100.300 mark on the dollar index. So if we can't break above that, we're not going to have that momentum of dollar strength. So in that case, what ends up probably happening is you start to get this consolidation moving sideways here, or you start to get the remnants of what could be a reset to go lower. And obviously it's just basically would be a continuation of the downtrend that's already on the daily. Now, if that downtrend does continue, you can see here we have a pretty long way to go. So the first marker you'd be looking at is somewhere around 97,750, and then the second one would be somewhere around 95,000. So very long way to go if we end up getting this to reset and go lower. Now let's say on the dollar index we actually continue to go up, right, and we get dollar strength. Well, this is actually going to drive this down, right? So it's going to drive it down to our target. Now, if where you just saw right now dollar index, if it decides to turn around and continue that downtrend, then this is probably going to consolidate, and then you're going to see movement go higher. So you might see something like this, and then eventually it'll go up. This will turn into a reset, and then you would see higher prices. So the dollar index is going to drive a lot of what's happening here, so please keep that in mind. Now moving over to NAS100, we're coming off a reset, so clearly we are looking for buys. You look on the daily time frame, pretty much we're going back up again. Looks like the uptrend is now could be fully restored, and we could see higher highs ultimately on NAS100. So long term, we're still looking for buys. If we even go up to the monthly time frame, you can really see what happened, right? On the monthly, you could really see very clearly. You could see this entire spike all the way down exactly to this area here. Okay, this is all just grabbing orders, right? And then now we're looking to move higher. The important factor is that we need to close. Okay, we need to close above this 20,800. We need to close above that. All right, if we can't close above that, that's going to be a problem. Okay, so that is the mark that we're really looking to close above. It's basically the last monthly candle here. We need to close above that. If we can, great. If we can't, that's going to be a problem. Okay, so obviously we still have quite a ways to go to get to that point, but as of right now, okay, we're looking for buys on NAS100. The simple targets right now are basically the previous reset, which is 20,300, and then from there we can go to possibly, let's say, 20,800, and then go from there. But those would be the next two targets on NAS100. And then finally, gold. So gold is coming off that peak formation high and essentially went all the way back down to 3,200. Okay, that was our price target from FXN Plus. Now, we do have enough for a full cycle on this one. So essentially, we're really waiting for a peak formation low to form. So for me, what I'm looking for is price to be above 3,300. If we could be above 3,300, to me, that'll give us enough for confirmation of a peak formation low, and then essentially we can continue the uptrend because we know we're in an uptrend. This is just essentially retracement of that uptrend. Now, sometimes retracements come in the form of just resets, or they come in the form of, full cycles, which is perfectly fine. In this case, this would be a full cycle, which is great. We needed that retracement. This is a good retracement for gold. Ultimately, though, we're still looking for buys long term. All right. Now, all we're looking for essentially is a break. For me, I'm looking for 3,300 to be broken. That'll help confirm a peak formation low, and then look for buys long term. We're looking for all-time highs again to be broken. So that is what I'm looking for out of all those four pairs that we are working with throughout the entire year. All right. So if you guys need help with peak formations, resets, failed resets, guys, join FXN Levels. All right, links are in the description. I share my charts with you every single day right before London, so you have updated levels, so you don't need to map this out if you don't want to. I'll do it for you. All right, so join FXN Levels. Links are in the description. Until the next video, guys, we'll break down some trade setups on each of these pairs. As always, make sure that you like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.